Hey everybody, KC here. So the New York Times had a really interesting piece about businesses that actually have opened and thrived since the beginning of the pandemic. Now listen, it started off with a cautionary note. Some 2,800 businesses in New York City have closed since the beginning of the pandemic, and that would be a body blow for any city. But there are some that have actually opened and survived. One that really surprised me was the new 4,500 square foot Krispy Kreme in Times Square. Now, listen, if you've seen any pictures of Times Square since the beginning of the pandemic when the theater district closed down, man, it is a ghost town. And yet, the Krispy Kreme, apparently, they're getting like 1,000 customers a day, which is nothing compared to what they would have if the theater district were open and Times Square was its usual bustling self. But 1,000 customers a day is something, and no doubt they're going there because there's something to see and there's something to smell, right? There's a restaurant in Brooklyn, a pop-up restaurant in Brooklyn that opened up, and it's called Sweet Talk. And what they decided to do is, because the executive chef was from Hawaii, basically he created a Hawaiian themed menu. And they brought in bamboo and they brought in palm trees. And basically they said, listen, people can't go to Hawaii, so let's bring a little bit of Hawaii to them. And I think that is a certain kind of genius. And they've been doing some business. I think this is a really good lesson for any retailer, right? Both during the pandemic and when the pandemic ends, and we go back to some semblance of reality as we used to know it. You can't be complacent. You have to continue to find ways to differentiate yourself because competition is going to continue to be tough, and it's only going to get tougher. And it seems to me that retailers have to find those little differences, those things that can be special. And if you're a food store, you got to find a way to make the place smell great and look great. And if you can do samples, taste great. Because those are the things that are going to distinguish you in the mind of the consumer. You can't be complacent. You can't say, man, things are back to normal. We can go do business as usual. I don't think that exists anymore. Business as usual is a losing proposition. You've got to focus on taste, smell, experience, finding differential advantages. Because if you don't do that, it just seems to me that you may have a lifeline. Maybe the pandemic has provided extra business you wouldn't have had, but it's not going to last long. And eventually your lack of difference is going to be like an anchor around your neck. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.